Good morning and welcome to Moraga Valley Presbyterian Church. We have lots of people out on our patio this morning. This is Mission Awareness Sunday, so we're glad to have you here with us this morning. We have So Bram Begonia, come on up, Bram. Bram is the new director at the Bay Area Rescue Mission, and when I had a chance to meet with him a while ago, we were kind of joking that how did a guy named Bram end up at the place called Barm? It seems like it was like God meant this to be, Bram. So welcome this morning. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
Pull up a seat. Well, Bram, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Give us a little bit of history for you. How did you end up at the Bay Area Rescue Mission? Give us that story.
Thank you. And is my mic on?
Yep, you're on.
So first of all, thank you for having me. I am from Hawaii. I've been in the Bay Area for 3 years now, and I just love it. So we're still like tourists. We're still seeing the bridge for no reason. But my family's always been involved in ministry, and particularly in the Salvation Army. My grandfather was a pastor in the Salvation Army in Hawaii, gave his life to the Lord in a plantation field. And my parents are retired Salvation Army officers in the Salvation Army. And my dad was actually named after the founder of the Salvation Army, so his name's William Booth Begonia. And William Booth's son's name is Bramwell, and that's why my name is Bram. And so that's our family business. We're a full family of pastors. My sister and brother-in-law are pastors here in Concord, California.
Oh, cool.
And my other sister and my brother-in-law are pastors at my church in Santa Clara, California. And so I commute to Richmond from the San Jose area every day, and that's my story. And so,
well, why the Bay Area Rescue Mission for you? You have a history then with Salvation Army. How did God draw you out of that into the Bay Area Rescue Mission?
Yeah, so I've never been called to be a pastor, but I do know that the Lord's placed it in my life to be, I'm called to be really the salt and light wherever He places me, and I was really drawn to the business world, and I saw all of my family and friends becoming pastors, which to me felt like there was a little bit of watered down leadership in leadership positions in the places that I was at. And so I just thought, I'm just going to be the best that I can be in the marketplace. And so I had some pretty unique experiences as a young man. I was a part of a church plant in Hawaii for the Salvation Army Kroc Center, which is a beautiful, beautiful mega community center and church, which was $133 million in the middle of a master planned Native Hawaiian community. And so this church happens to be a church that has a community center attached to it. So there's a mini water park, a 20,000 square foot fitness center, 120 student preschool, 500 seat community center theater where you can have weddings and so forth. And so it's really beautiful. And so I built that place with many friends in Hawaii who love that ministry. And then I transferred with the Salvation Army to run all of the programs and services for the Salvation Army in Silicon Valley. And then a brief stint building the Epicenter. It's an art and music center in East Palo Alto for underserved youth. And that was opened the day before Thanksgiving during COVID. And then a wonderful board member at the Salvation Army named Mike Brock, knew that there was this wonderful man named John Anderson, who was the president and CEO of the Bay Area Rescue Mission, was retiring after 26 years of service, and said, you have to come over here and find out what's happening at the Bay Area Rescue Mission. They're doing the same work. They're preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they're meeting human needs in His name without discrimination. You got to check it out. And so during Christmas break, I visited the Bay Area Rescue Mission, met all of the board members, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, I bet they're very glad to have you there as well. So
I don't know. It's too early to tell. We'll see.
Share a little bit about what your experience has been like so far at Bay Area Rescue Mission. You've stepped in. You've been there how long now?
I've been there for a whopping 6 months.
All right.
Maybe 7. And it's been very wonderful. I do want to share that before I took this position, I did a drive-by prayer. And so I drove from San Jose and I went to the Bay Area Rescue Mission. And it was during COVID, and I parked and I tried to sneak into the building because I wanted to know, what are they really like? They say one thing.
Yeah.
Do they really do what they say they do? And I know that when you walk into a restaurant or a bank or whatever, you can tell by meeting the employees or talking to the volunteers what kind of atmosphere it is. And so I tried to sneak in. I parked in the parking lot and I said, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a volunteer, maybe a donor. Can I get in and get a tour of the Bay Area Rescue Mission? And they said, no, it's COVID. You can't come in right now. I said, all right. I hung up the phone. I said, called back, hey, I've driven a long way. Is there any way I can get in there, to see what's going on? And sure enough, one of the employees came out and said, we're not supposed to give a tour, but we'll let you. And I walked around, and I met wonderful volunteers. I think some of those volunteers are here today who were just serving during COVID and just helping and smiling and filled with joy. And just the Spirit of the Lord was radiating from them. And I thought, wow, these people are doing what they say they do. And the rest, like I said, it drew me in. And I've been blessed. The work we do at the Bay Area Rescue Mission is very serious. It's very, very serious work. You see people at their lowest low.
Yeah.
I mean, you see them at their very, very lowest low. But then you see the transformation, and you see the miracles, and you are blown away. If you haven't seen a miracle in a long time, come on down to the Bay Area Rescue Mission. Miracles are taking place every day.
Huh.
Yeah, so I've been blown away. We do some great things. Pre-COVID, we were serving the amount of meals we provided were about 55,000 meals per month.
Wow.
And during COVID, that has doubled to over 110,000 meals per month.
Is that just more, that means just more people are coming every day?
More people are being served every day through our side door, and we also serve many community partners. So there are other ministries who come to get food from us. They might have a smaller shelter, it might be a smaller church who wants to give out food. They will come to us, we'll collect all the food, and then we'll provide it to our service providers. So during COVID, we did about 1.2 million meals served, which was amazing.
That's tremendous. Tell us a little bit, where's the ministry going then the next couple of years? Cast some vision for us.
Yeah, so our traditional services we are the largest provider of homeless services in Contra Costa County. And that started from 12 beds and serving 36 meals per day in 1965 to being the largest provider of homeless services. And pre-COVID, I got to keep using these pre-COVID numbers. Yeah. We were completely filled, which was 280 beds for men, women, and children. Wow. And that's including their meals. And anyone from the community, any mealtime, can come in and be served when our students and our guests are being served for mealtime. So you'll see families come in, you'll see people coming out of their cars.
And do you serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And it's just a wonderful ministry. And like I said, during pre-COVID, we were completely filled. And that's the heartbreaker. You're asking me, what's the future? Unbelievably, we have to deny access to people. Well, that 280 beds, that means 30 of those are cots. So in inclement weather, during really hot days in the summer, or where it's really wet days like the rain that we had recently, the county will call us and people will just start showing up. And we'll put out 20 cots for men and 10 cots for women. And once we do that, we're maxed. Yeah. And then we have to turn people away. When I say turn them away, we have other partners we can turn them to and refer them to. But believe it or not, and I'm not trying to make fun or light of the situation, but shelters and missions have reputations. And if you're on the streets, people talk. And they will say, I'm not going there, right? If I can't get into rescue mission, I'm not going to that other one, or I'm not going here. If I can't get there, I'll just sleep on the streets outside and wait till they have a bed for me. And so why we're so excited about the future is, unfortunately, pre-COVID, we had to send away several women and children because you only can have so many in a room, and you can't mix them with men, right? And there's this dichotomy there, and we were declining entry for several women with children who are our most vulnerable population. And so we were proud to say that in just the next couple of months, we're opening up the Bridge of Hope, which many of you have been involved with and have helped support, and that's going to be an additional 114 beds for women and children.
Wow. And do you anticipate, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Do you anticipate that filling up again quickly? I mean, is there that much demand currently? Or?
It will. It's funny, right? Is there that much demand? The county just did a point-in-time count, and that's 1 point in time for the whole entire year, and they count as many people who would be self-identified. And right now, there's about 9,000 of our unhoused neighbors in Contra Costa County. Wow. And so if you add the 114 to our 280, it's not enough.
Still a drop in the bucket.
It's not enough, and I do believe that with God's provision and God willing, that we can address this issue if we wrap our hands around it. We're working with other organizations like Transforming the Bay with Christ, meeting other churches and other providers and saying, how can we work together to attack that number more aggressively and to get people off the streets. And so that's what we're excited about.
So people will come in, and do they stay with you long term? I know you kind of have a couple of different kinds of programs, don't you, as well?
Yes. So we have, and it's kind of terminology if you're in this sort of business. When we say shelter, it's really a shelter guest, emergency shelter. It means you come to the Bay Area Rescue Mission, you have a meal with us, we have a chapel service, and then you can stay with us overnight. Anybody can come, and you can stay 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. At 7 a.m., you got to go.
Okay.
Right? We don't want to just enable you to just hang out.
Yeah.
You've got to go do something. And so you can just come as many days as you want and come to our emergency shelter. The draw for us is as many people that come to the emergency shelter, that's who we say, hey, do you want to not come in every night and have to leave? Would you like to stay with us for a year? What's the issue? What's going on? Are you fleeing from a domestic violence situation? Is it you don't have a job? What's going on? Is it you're addicted to something? Let's get to the root of it. And you can come into our program completely free. And you know there's a lot of programs out there that charge a lot of money just for a 30-day program. Be with us for a year and just work on yourself, work on your life. And we have great success stories. So many people may not know this, but one of the wonderful things at the Bay Area Rescue Mission is we don't take any government funding. So although we are the largest provider of dealing with our unhoused neighbors, we don't take any government funding. And that allows us to continue to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we know that our key to success is Jesus. Yeah. But we also know you need to meet that physical need. You need to get that mom and daughter, children, out of that domestic violence situation. Somebody's not going to listen to the word of God when they're hungry or when they can't think straight because they've been strung out on crystal meth or crack cocaine. So let's address the physical need, and let's provide the soup for the soul. And we know that we have a very high success rate. When we say high success rate, it's 75 to 80% some years of people who leave our program once they complete their year of being on our program, women and children, who leave us and are not addicted anymore, right? Who have a full-time employment and who are housed. And so that is a big thing for us. We track what's going on, and we have amazing success stories.
And how many people kind of are part of your program that year-long program? Is it? It's men and women that do it, and how many go through that program?
You're going to make me do the hard math. So
sorry,
we have a 48-bed dormitory for men.
Okay.
So it's, and Sherwin's here to help me. It's 100. I think it's 210 minus 48. It's how many men would be in our long-term program. Okay. And so it's a large number, and to just put it out there, it's very hard to recover. It takes a long time, and it takes a lot of commitment. So there's a lot of people. It may take 2 programs. It may take 2 times. You may last in our program for 1 week. You may last for 3 months and leave and come back a year later and come back again. So when you talk to somebody who really has found success, who's been through a program, who's come from the depths of being the least and the lost, you'll find out they've gone to a Salvation Army program, a secular program, the Bay Area Rescue Mission, and came back to the Bay Area Rescue Mission 3 years later. It's not easy. I want you to think in your mind, if all of us right now got into our vehicles and drove for 7 years, right, drove in our vehicles up to where I got stopped on the 24, the road was closed this morning, and then we got out of our vehicles and on foot, set off for 7 years, just walking and wandering. And then I said, stop, after 7 years. Go, get back to your cars, right? 7 years of wandering, we go, 30-day program's going to get me there. Right. That's not how it works. You're talking about serious issues, serious problems. It takes just as long to get back. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't just wander in life. And some people have been wandering for 40 years. Wow. 30 years. Yeah. 20 years. And it's a life transformation that takes place, and it only can happen by the power of Jesus Christ. So what are some keys that you guys feel like are parts of the success that the Bay Area Rescue Mission brings? So some of the keys really for us is our strength is we have several employees and staff members who have been through our programs, right? We have staff members who have... They've been there then. They've come through the program. They've been at the door. We've denied employees. When they came to us, the shelter was full, and we've said there's no room for you. And they waited for the room to come in. 3 years later, you come in, your life is transformed, and now I'm talking about Mimi. Some of you know Mimi in our development department. Mimi is a success story. You know, every time she tells her story, it kind of hurts me because she says, yeah, when I first came to the rescue mission, I was denied entry because you were full, right? And there was no room at the inn. And Mimi is a wonderful success story. She was living in her car and with her daughter, who was 13 at the time. And her daughter, we just had a banquet, and her daughter's beautiful, grown, well-functioning, high-functioning, and doing great things. And Mimi is a joy. She's praying with donors over the phone. And so one of our keys to our success, again, is our staff who have been through we have staff members who have been there 30 years now.
Wow.
Right? 29 years,
Yeah.
21 years, who have been through the program and say, I know you think it's impossible, but I did this.
Yeah.
You know, I was where you were. I was in that same bed. When they give the tour, they go, this is the bed that I stayed in. I know you don't want to be here with 48 men, right?
Yeah.
But if you come into the program, you're going to have your own room, or maybe you'll have a roommate, and it can be done. And so that's one of our keys to success. The other keys, one of the keys to our success is we have partners like you guys. You know, and I'm not just saying that because I'm here, but seriously, we cannot do the work that we do without several church partners who give us their time, talent, and treasure. It's just not possible. The volume of people that we see, the amount of volunteers needed, the amount of work that needs to be done.
Well, and not taking government funds
And
either,
not taking government
which allows
funds.
you to continue to preach the gospel, I know.
That's
you
correct.
said.
So that's one of the keys to our success is really having very strong partners who care about what we do and are willing to get proximate, you know, come, see what we're doing, see what's happening face-to-face with people in our programs, and interact, and that is the key to our success. Because, you know, our staff get tired too. They're there 365 days a year, and if they don't have that support, it's very difficult. So
Yeah. Well, I know you guys are a strongly and overtly Christian organization. So what are some of the scriptures that you look to either personally to help direct you, or that as an organization to kind of help drive what you do and why you do what you do?
Yeah, and a quick history lesson: the rescue missions were founded by a man named John Naismith, and he was only on this planet for 40 years. And he started the first rescue mission in 1826, and he started 60 rescue missions.
Wow.
And in his spare time launched a little organization called the YMCA. And so if you just search that story, it's an amazing story, and these rescue missions launched all across the world. And some of the founding scriptures are ones that you're very familiar with, and one of those is Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of God. And that's what we remind everyone, like, I'm a sinner.
Right.
It's not just you are a sinner, I'm a sinner. We've all fallen short. That's why we're all here. Another scriptural foundation for rescue mission work is Romans 6:23, which is, for the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life in Christ Jesus our Lord. And we remind them of that all the time, like, hey, without God, we're all dying, right?
Yeah.
So because people in that situation will say, but you don't know what I've done, right? And it's hard for you to say, well, I haven't been addicted to something for 20 years. Until they'll say, so you don't understand what I've been through. But when you say, but I'm a sinner too, and I've been saved by grace, and this hope is there for you too, you can start kind of breaking barriers. So Ephesians 2:8-9 is one of our foundations. For it is by grace you've been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. And so again, we say, you can't earn this, man. You can't just, like, the better you clean your room, or the more you serve, or the more you get involved at your local church, then you're going to earn your way back and pay for all the things that you've done. So that's kind of the mindset, you know, for some of the people that come to our programs. And we tell them that's not going to do it. You know, you're not going to be able to work your way back. You just got to surrender and repent and turn it all over to the Lord, and He's going to get you there.
Yeah.
And it takes some time. It really takes some time. And then finally, we have Matthew 25:31-46, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the sheep and the goats. And really, verse 40 is what we talk about all the time, which is, the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me. And so that's what we talk about all the time. That's why we say the least and the lost, because we were all there, and we joke around. Like, people say, what's a wretch? I'm a wretch. You're a wretch. I'm a wretch. You know, we joke about it, but we like to tell people that we've messed up. You know, the people that you encounter, the people that visit you from the wonderful churches that, you know, come and help us, like MVPC, they're not perfect either, believe it or not. They've messed up too. They are wretches too.
Yeah.
And they have a personal relationship with you. Why are they smiling so much? Why are they so happy? Why do they want to come down here? It's a conversation that we can have. That joy that they have is coming from something. What is that? Let's talk about that. Let's open up that conversation.
Share some kind of success stories then. I'm sure you mentioned Mimi already, and that her story is sort of inspirational, but do you have some others that you kind of look to or hold on to? Because I'm sure not all of them are success stories either. I mean,
no, some of them are very tragic. I mean, we've had, the other side of that where you're thinking, wow, that person's going to be the next, CEO at another rescue mission or whatever, and then life happens and sin happens, and so we have those tragic stories as well. But one in particular comes to mind, and I have my notes here because I don't want to mess up the story, but there was a young boy who was born February 1st, 1955. And it's important, I love this story because some people think when you end up homeless, it's because you had a certain upbringing, right? That's how you ended up there. That's how they ended up there, right? And I love this story because the upbringing is not what you're thinking. And so this young boy was born February 1st, 1955 in Oakland, California. He was raised by two loving parents, Robert and Lorene. And his father was a longshoreman, and his mother worked for Hanley Hotels. And he had an upbringing that was filled with love and great experiences. And they went on family vacations together, and they were regular attendees at the Giants games. I don't know who the Giants are, but just kidding. Don't be mad. So they were regular attenders at the Giants games, and they attended activities at the Boys and Girls Club, right? And were involved in programs. And this young boy actually became very good at sports. He was involved in basketball, football, and so forth. But he was really good at baseball. And so all the way through high school, he was kind of a star. He was on JV and varsity his junior year. And one of those years he had 1972, he had to have surgery on his knee, which kind of ended that route that he kind of thought he was going to go. And so, but that didn't stop him. So he continued with his education, graduated from high school, and he served in the Air Force for 3 years from 1974 to 1977. Again, if you're thinking of the story along with me, you're like, that's amazing. That's a cool life story thus far, right? And so after he served in the Air Force, just started making some bad choices and hanging around with the wrong people, the wrong crowd. And those bad choices led to bad consequences. And we talk about this all the time with students in our program. Like we call it, there's a book called The Bait of Satan, right? The Bait of Satan. And how does Satan bring you in? How does he hook you? And so that's what our students, as one of the classes they go through. And so he started making some bad choices. And he started using some entry drugs and experimenting with different things. And his drug of choice soon turned into really hard crack cocaine and marijuana and alcohol. And that led him to, on his birthday, February 1st, 1992, just do the math with me, right? From 1955 to 1992, he found himself in prison for making these bad choices and for hanging out with the wrong crowd. And he knew he had to change his life and get his life together. And so he got out of prison. He made his way to the Bay Area Rescue Mission in 1994. And in 1994, this young man came to us. He weighed, remember, he was an athlete, a baseball player. He came to us with a size 28 waist and weighing 125 pounds. Ooh. And, I was that weight in third grade, I think. I'm just saying, maybe fourth grade. But anyways, when you talk to this young man, he'd say that he was tore up from the floor up. He was a shadow of himself, Sorry.
It's okay.
March 5th, 1994, this young man had an encounter with God in the 48 med dormitory. 48 other men snoring loud.
Yeah.
You can't sleep. And then had an encounter with the Lord. He successfully completed the program. And in 1995, when he graduated from the program, the Bay Area Rescue Mission hired him. hired him to work with the youth in their youth programs because he was so good with youth. And so he started to teach in different programs in the King's Club, and many people started to just start being attracted to what this young man was doing. And so he worked in the youth department for 5 years at the Bay Area Rescue Mission. And then in the year 2000, he was put in charge of all of the director of service. He was the director of services for all the men's programs at the Bay Area Rescue Mission. And then from 2000 to 2011, he was put in charge of the Bridge of Hope program that we're opening up in the next 2 months. And it's my privilege to say that that young man is not so young anymore, but he's here today with us. And this young man's name is Sherwin Harris, and he's right here. Stand up, Sherwin. Thank you. I mean, I work with Sherwin every day.
Yeah.
And he's a joy. And you wouldn't know. If he didn't tell you his story, you would never know he's been through all that. And he's just one of many, many success stories.
Yeah. Well, that's so powerful. Thank you. One of the things, and I don't remember if it was when you and I were at lunch together, kind of when we first met, but you were telling me, or maybe John Anderson was sharing about the number of people that come to faith as part of the rescue mission. Share a little bit more about that and sort of what's the discipleship process that you take people through?
Yeah, so we have several Bible studies and chapel time. Some people say, so do you force people to go to your chapel time before they eat? No, we don't, right? We don't. So that's the rumor out there, right? No, we don't do that. We could, because we don't accept government funding, but we don't, right? And so we have several chapels every day. We have several volunteer chaplains that come, preach on Sundays, Monday through Friday. And we also have Bible studies. And so through these, we have been tracking. The tracking system wasn't very good at 1965.
Yeah.
But we know between 1965 and today, we've tracked that more than 20,000 people have come to Christ through our programs.
That's so great.
And we think it's many, many more, but I think that's amazing.
Thank you, Jesus.
And just to give you an example of that, pre-COVID, people that gave their lives to Christ through our programs was 361. So just that time, 361 people gave their lives to Christ. And the key to that, as you know, is when they're in our programs, we have to plug you into a church that's nearby.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to where you came from, you've
Slip right back in.
You've just wasted a year of your life, right? This is going to sound very, very barbaric to all of us, but when you come into our programs, you have to give up your cell phone, right? Oh my gosh, take our cell phones, right? You don't get a computer because those are distractions to people that are in our programs, right? Anybody that's texting them or saying, where are you at? What are we going to do this weekend? And that's not just the Bay Area Rescue Mission. That's a best practice.
Rescue mission.
Well, it's not just rescue missions, even secular programs. The best practice across the country that when you're in a program trying to get your life together, those things got to go.
Yeah.
Right. So we put them away, and then we teach you skills how to not be distracted, how you can use those things more healthy in your life and use it positively. So we really have to work on those skills to make better choices. And again, getting back to people's turning their lives over to Christ, it really is building relationships with people, right? And the best, kind of like what Harbor House does and others, the best thing really is pairing people one-on-one. So do we have 280 volunteers to pair up with every single person that comes into our doors? No.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, we'd be much more successful if we did.
Right.
Because that person really needs somebody to speak life into them. Because if you are addicted to a drug and you start at age 15, and if you professional counselors are out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we believe this is what happens. If you start taking hard drugs as a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 17-year-old, your mental capacity actually stops there, right? So when you're in a 40-year-old body, a 35, 50-year-old man or woman, and you just stopped using drugs, you still have the capacity of the 15 and the 16-year-old in you. And that's why the choices aren't being made correctly,
right,
because that mindset's still there. That's why we always want to have fun, right? And that's always, so what's next? So it's kind of like just a full-time life of partying. And that's the mindset. And so you kind of have to break that mindset. And that's why we say Jesus is the answer, because there's so much more. There's a purpose. It's a purpose-driven life. It's leading a life of significance. It's what am I going to do with this? And what can I be? And when you start talking about that, what legacy are you going to leave? Not to earn your way into heaven, but what are you going to do while you're here on this earth for this short time? You can start having that conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important about the mission that we do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I would encourage you, if you want to hear more stories, go talk to Bram and Sherwin out on the patio afterwards. It is a great ministry, and we are so proud and privileged to partner with you in what you're doing to not only change people's lives, but you're changing our community that we're here a part of as well. So thank you so much, Bram, for joining us today and for sharing some of these stories as well.
Thank you for having us. And just remember that, again, we can't do it by ourselves. And we're successful because we have people like you and your congregation and your church supporting us. So thank you, guys. We appreciate you. God bless. Thank you, Pastor.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.